everybody. Welcome back to the Most Valuable Podcast. I am Mark Williams here with my colleague
Victor Castro.
and we're just two dudes who do real estate for a living. You know what, Victor? You know what, listener? This is not for you. What do I mean, Victor?
Well, many of you are maybe looking to buy your first home and don't know where to start. You're looking to save yourself some money, maybe buying a fixer-upper. Maybe you think buying land is
buy
an
land.
option.
I'm going to build a log cabin.
Yeah. Maybe you're going to buy, I don't know.
There's this thing on Zillow, bro. I search for homes on Zillow.
Yeah.
And I look at foreclosures and short sales. They're like half price. I can just buy one of those, right?
Yeah, right. All those situations, you might be thinking this might be the scenario for me to get into home ownership because, your first thought is this is a cheaper route. This is the most inexpensive way of getting into home ownership, but it's actually, or it could be way opposite to that.
It's not for you.
It's definitely just not for you.
I'm just gonna be blunt. I'm gonna keep it 100, right? I'm gonna be straightforward. We have helped over 100 plus families. It was like 190 families or something like that. It's crazy. And we were in that position too. We were first time buyers at one point in time in our life. Like before we got into real estate, we worked and we bought our home and we thought the same thing. Like it's common. How do I get in cheap or cheaper, right? These homes are so expensive here in the Bay Area. How do I find a more affordable route to get into home ownership? So you start thinking, how about if I buy a piece of land? So you know what, first-time buyer, we're speaking to you on this podcast. We're going to talk about what it takes to maybe make this happen, some personal experiences, some experiences we've helped with clients, and kind of give you the facts. And quite frankly, when we're done with this 30-minute podcast, you're going to realize that some of the stuff we just listed is probably not for you. And it doesn't mean it can't be done, but the odds are, as a first-time buyer, this isn't the route you're going to want to take, or a route that maybe even be feasible just because of what it takes to make it happen.
Yeah.
Right? Sound about right?
Right.
All right, cool. Let's get into like one of the ones that I kind of chuckle at.
Yeah.
And look, I've been doing this for 8 years, and we've grown and downsized our teams. And I don't know if it's like a rite of passage for new real estate agents. So new real estate agents, if you're listening in, take notes on this one. But for first-time buyers, I want to buy a piece of land, and I'm going to build on it. And you get them approved, right? So the process for first-time home buying, you talk to us first, boom. Get your game plan going, talk to our lender, boom, done. Pre-approval is in hand. We're ready to shop. You know how much it costs monthly. Then you're kind of like, you get that buyer's remorse. Like, damn, do I really want to pay $4,500 a month? Do I really want to pay $5,000 a month? My rent's only $2,500. Can I just buy a piece of land? This land's only like $100K. Yeah, the land's like $100K. Who's going to do the loan?
That's a common mistake. Rookie mistake, Before I got into real estate, I used to be on the same boat. I didn't know that, you couldn't just purchase land, or I thought it was easy. I thought you could just come in and you can buy any
most people
land.
think that Cindy approved us for this, $650,000 of approve of loan.
And that you can buy a land.
Can I just use that to buy land?
Yeah, it doesn't work that way.
No, it's a different type of loan. So when you get a home loan, they're lending you based on the value of the home and the land that it sits on. So when you do become a homeowner and you look at your property tax, there's actually two values. There's a value of the land and then the value of the structure, the home. Together, that's the value, the total value, okay? So you're taking that structure, the house, the most valuable thing on top of the land, unless you have like oil or gold in the dirt, right? You're taking that away. So now you just have this piece of land, right? Okay. So you're going to ask a lender to give you financing for just dirt. There's no, what's the value? The value is just really location and that it's a piece of land, right? So there's very few companies that do land loans. You can get one, but there's very few companies. I would say majority of property or blank land that's bought in the Bay Area is cash.
Yes.
Is a cash transaction, meaning you're going to need that $100,000-$200,000 in cash to purchase that piece of land.
And there's another piece to the puzzle, guys. Can you actually build on the land? Is the land already plumbed with sewage, right? Electricity, all those things.
Yeah, public water, public sewer.
Yeah.
Is that on there?
If it's not, guess what you're going to have to do? You're going to have a contractor permitted, right? Get permits.
You get permits from the city.
And you have to have all that put into the land you just purchased.
Yeah, and you got to be careful too, because that land, depending on where it's at, like you can't just take it easy and do like, oh, I'll just do like a septic, because if there's like groundwater that feeds into like the city water, it's got to be on, public sewer. How far is the public sewer line? Well, if this piece of land's out in the middle of nowhere, but now that's expensive. And then PG&E. Like for us in Northern California, you're going to need, to get electrical service. Where's the nearest power line? There's a possibility you could go off the grid and just do all solar. I guess that depends on where the house is, right? Maybe you run on propane. But all that stuff has to be permitted. So you have all these permits just to see, and then you got to see if the land is actually zoned for residential. Sometimes a piece of land is a piece of land for a reason.
Maybe it's just meant for wildlife. Or maybe it's toxic. So, they don't allow anything to be built on it.
Yeah, you got to test the soil. There's so much
that goes into it.
There's so much that goes into it. So let's just say best case scenario, you can actually build. And I'm going to use an example. I helped a client many years ago sell a piece of land that they bought in Vallejo, downtown Vallejo, like by the ferry building. Houses all around. And it's a corner lot. And that lot actually used to have like a building on it, like a general store. It was like a mixed use. It was like a small grocery store at the bottom, like your corner mom and pop store, and then like housing above, like 100-year-old, Victorian style home. And it burned down. So they tore it down and they never rebuilt. So there was water and there was power ran to this piece of land. Okay. And I helped sell that land. And it initially sold for like 60 grand. Honestly, I actually bought it. I bought it. The person wanted to sell it. I put it on the market and said, you know what? I'll buy it, because they were looking for a quick sell. I bought it off them with the intentions to resell it. And I did resell it. I only resold it for maybe like 85 grand. Okay. And the person that bought it, one intentions was to build a house. Well, one, the home's in a historic area. So the facade of the building had to look a certain way. They spent their, $10,000, $15,000 in architectural drawings, right? And you got to submit all this stuff to the city. They've owned it for like 4 or 5 years. There's still nothing built on it. And I think they just sold it. They just ended up selling. They made back what they were into it. So they bought it off me for like 80 something. They were like 40 grand into it without even building anything. And I think they just sold it to kind of get that money back. Because it's so hard to build. There's so much like loopholes. And not only that, it was going to cost him, for what he was going to build, it was like a normal size home. It was going to cost close to $500K to build that home. So you're in it 100 grand for the land. You're in it another 40 with like permitting and stuff. And now it's going to be 500,000 on top of that to build the structure. So like 640 grand altogether. And guess what? All that wasn't financed. It was going to have to be cash.
Right. Yeah.
Yes, granted, you're building something that you got designed specifically for you, right? It wasn't a cookie cutter home. But that person had to be in a position to be able to pay for this stuff cash.
Right.
You're a first-time buyer. You're trying to figure out where you're getting 3.5%.
In most cases, yeah.
Where are you coming up with this 600 something thousand? And if you can do it, great, more power to you. But we're just speaking on average, based on experience, who we help. Maybe someone has 20% of, they have $100,000-$200,000 for a down payment. The majority we're dealing, they're usually around like 50K. They have about 50K to get into a home. We're gonna get 650 for them, and this is Vallejo. It's not the most desirable location. It's not the best part of Vallejo either. So I'm just saying, like, there's more to it than just owning the land.
Right. Yeah.
So much, like you said, permitting, red tape, planning,
architectural structure, plans, and all
Yeah.
that. It goes way beyond just the imagination portion of, if I could imagine to build a home, it could probably be done. No,
Yeah.
it doesn't work that way.
Yeah, and you think about it, okay, you bought the land. Say you have the money for the land. The land cost you $100,000. You came out of pocket $100,000. Okay, now you have to get some type of lending, and then the question we get: couldn't we get a construction loan? Yes, but lenders usually only want to give those type of loans to either people in the industry. So like you're a contractor and this is what you do for a living. You build properties and you sell them, and maybe you're building this one for yourself. Or B, you go the hard money route where same thing. They still want you to kind of be in the industry. They're still gonna not 100% finance it.
You
Right?
still need a hefty down payment.
Yeah.
So
Land, not for you.
it's not for you.
It is not for
Sorry.
you. All right, next on the list, foreclosure.
Okay.
Let's do foreclosure. I'm going to do foreclosure because short sale, that's on the list. You can buy a short sale,
Yeah.
right? But it's not. It'll save you a little bit. It's not going to save you that much. You're probably going to get it for market value.
And sometimes, depending on the situation,
You don't even know it's a short sale.
yeah, or like you're just gonna buy it for the actual value that it costs.
Yeah, so let's just do foreclosure. So you're on Zillow right now searching because Zillow is like one of the few apps that lets you check pre-foreclosure and foreclosure. Okay, so I'm gonna go pre-foreclosure and then we'll both talk about foreclosure. Pre-foreclosure, not for you. Stop sending it to us. Stop sending me the pre-foreclosure link. I'm gonna give you a quick and fast understanding of how foreclosures work. So foreclosures are once a homeowner falls a specific amount of time behind on their mortgage payments, okay, the lending company is going to send them a letter of pre-foreclosure saying, we are starting the process to reclaim this property, to sell it in order to minimize our loss. That's when a home is in pre-foreclosure. That means that homeowner was notified that the lending company is going to start the process of foreclosing on the home. Okay? The reason I say don't send that to me is because that homeowner has every opportunity to get it out of pre-foreclosure, meaning they're able to make an arrangement with the lender to maybe pay some of the back payment to get it back to a good standing, whatever that is. Doesn't mean they have to pay it in full, just whatever that is. I've seen homes in pre-foreclosure for like 10 plus years because the person gets that position, they make a deal with the lender, they get back in the good standings, the snowball happens again, they make a deal with the lender, they get back in good standing. You know what I'm saying? So the home is not going to sell, and the price you see is usually what is owed on the loan. So that is the balance of the loan that you see, and more times than not, the balance is less than what the market rate is, right? Because maybe they've owned that home for some time.
Right.
Right, and they've been paying more. They've been paying some, so it's always, and they have a down payment, so it's usually less. Don't send the pre-foreclosures.
I know a family that was in it that just bought one and was in contract for almost a year, trying to buy this, and they ended up buying it, but they went through everything, man, to try to get this home, including money.
Yeah.
Right, so Imagine being in contract for a year. How stressful that would be.
Yeah. And look, and I'm sure there's some realtors that listen to us. Pre-foreclosures can be purchased. It's just not how you think. Basically, if you see a pre-foreclosure, feel free to go drive to that person's home, knock on their door and say, "Hey, I saw your home on Zillow. I know you're about to lose it. Can I buy it off you?" That's kind of like how you can buy a pre-foreclosure. But here's the thing. That home is still worth market rate. So I'm advising all homeowners that are listening to this, if you are in pre-foreclosure, hit us up. We'll sell it for what it's worth. And you can pay off what you owe, plus all whatever back stuff you owe, and walk away with that profit. So why would you want to sell it cheap? Right. Doesn't make sense, right?
Off market to someone.
No, sell it on market.
Yeah.
Just sell it. And to those listening, that's a worst case scenario. As a home buyer, if that's something you fear that one day you won't be able to pay it, you're still entitled to that equity that's in there. It's just there might be some late fees associated with that.
Yeah.
Cool. Foreclosures. Okay, you can buy foreclosures. It is a possibility. That means it's no longer in pre-foreclosure. It is now foreclosed, meaning the lender has been granted the rights to the property to sell it, to minimize their loss. Do you know how those are sold, Victor?
I'm sorry.
Foreclosures.
Oh, how?
Yeah. How do you buy a foreclosure?
So isn't it by auction?
Yeah. You're right.
It's by auction. How
do those auctions work?
Yeah, man. So in an auction, they're going to have a due date, right? And so as soon as it comes down to the market, you have to put in an offer. Well, guess what? Everyone's going to try to submit their bid on it, and it usually ends up selling for more than what you bid on.
And a lot of these auctions are live. Now, some counties still do it in person.
Yeah.
Some do it in person and online, and some do it online. And legit, you have to register for the auction. You have to go to the auction with money in hand. You have to have, usually most auctions, to my understanding, you have to have at least with you 50% of what you offer on cashier's checks made out to the county. So when I used to work in banking, people would buy. I worked in banking during the crash. So people would come in and get they'll walk away. They'll come in and get 5 or 6 cashier's checks at $30,000 a piece. Because then they would show hey, I can go up to, I have 180, 200,000 in cashier's checks. I can bid on something for 400. You leave the $200,000 deposit right then, and then you have 24 hours to pay the rest. Otherwise, it goes to the next bidder.
Gotcha.
Right? Something like that. It might have changed. That's what I remember from being in banking. But you're at literally the stairs of the courthouse, and it's like an auction. And usually the starting price is less to draw more attention, but usually the lender has the final say. They have a reserve, what they want to get out of it. And there's usually at least what is owed to them, right? They want to get their money back at least. And then, people know the values of these homes. So just because this $700,000 home is being auctioned starting at $350,000 doesn't mean it's going to sell for $350,000. Depending on and they're all sight unseen. So let's just say someone wants to go up to $600K on it. They're still going to make the money. If they're going to flip it. Right? As long as it's in decent condition. Or maybe they're going to live in it. But guess what? You have to have that money. That's the key. You can't get a loan.
So as a first-time buyer, we're going to tell you, this isn't for you.
Not for you. That is not for you. How about distressed properties? Maybe explain what a distressed property is to buyers. Hey, I'm showing you this home. It's cheap. It looks like it needs some, distress. It's in pretty bad shape.
Yeah. So let's say the home needs a complete makeover. It's a fixer.
Let's do this. I'm sorry to interrupt you, Victor. Explain to the listeners what a cosmetic fixer is compared to a fixer.
Okay, yeah. All right, the difference. Cosmetic fixer is paint, flooring, light fixtures, things that you can see that are on the surface of what the home shows. So nothing that is detrimental to the structure or that is affecting the structure or is going to be of any risk to you as living in the property. Versus a fixer, maybe it needs foundation repairs. Maybe it needs a new roof. Maybe the framing in the home needs to be replaced, which is a complete tear down and, repair.
Yeah. And just so you guys know too, financing will vary. A cosmetic fixer is normally just a house that, maybe is not to your taste. Maybe it's a little outdated. Maybe the previous owner had flooring and paint that you don't like. Maybe there's a little bit of deferred maintenance, but nothing that a lender you couldn't get a normal loan on. So cosmetic fixers are for you. Little elbow grease, go to Home Depot on a weekend, little YouTube University, boom, right? You can still buy this home, and a lender is still going to value this home as acceptable to have a loan on it. Now, a fixer may not qualify for conventional lending, meaning it's a cash buy. Now, doesn't mean you have to have all the cash. There are things called like a hard money loan where you can borrow money from essentially a private investor that's going to make money, but those loans are expensive. They're not as easy to get. They're usually only given to businesses. And you're going to want to pay those loans off within a certain amount of time because of high interest rates. So for first-time home buyers, yes, you may be handy. You may be in the trades. You may know how to do foundation work. But your struggle is going to be getting financing to actually purchase that home. So like cash fixers are not for you. Because unless you have the capital to buy the home outright at the discounted price and then have the capital to have the money to fix the problems, you can't get financing.
Right. There's a 203
Now there's some loans
FHA.
There's like this 203B and like there's an FHA loan that I've had a couple people send to me where you don't have to make payments for like the first 12 months. The home still has to qualify for traditional financing. Meaning, and when we say that, to put it in English, it has to be livable. So when we say a home qualifies for traditional financing, means the appraiser says this home, if handed the keys, you can live in right away. Heating works, the roof is safe, the foundation is safe, all the windows are there, all the flooring's there, the walls there's no holes in, the electrical work. Like, you can live in it without doing any upgrades. It's more of a preference thing if you wanted to do upgrades. When it doesn't qualify means the home is inhabitable, meaning you shouldn't be living there until these items are fixed. Right? So as a first-time home buyer, why are you trying to buy a home that you can't even live in?
Right. So
and where are you going to get the money to fix it?
It's not easy. Unless you have cash or hard money like you mentioned, it's probably not going to happen.
But doesn't mean you can't do it, but it's not really, look, this is just our professional opinion based on experience and helping families. We help a ton of families buy homes that need a little bit of love. Sometimes it's a great strategy to save a little bit of money in a neighborhood that you want to be in.
Which is the case with, shout out to my clients. They don't necessarily want to relocate.
Yeah.
And have been sending me some properties that are in distress.
Yeah.
Closer to where they live. And, they sent me this property. I see the price. I'm like, there's probably something wrong with the property.
Yeah. I
look at, the MLS and sure enough, it needs some elbow grease and so what? So, I let them know and they're like, oh, never mind. So, To each their own.
And that's another factor. Are you willing? Not everybody wants to buy something they got to fix up. Some people just want to move in and be stress-free. And being a first-time home buyer is stressful enough. Now you're going to add the added stress of the unknown that now we don't know what's broke, right? And like fixer-uppers, you can't really get a fixer that's hard money or cash. You can't get like a home warranty on it. You can't get like insurance just in case something breaks that you didn't see, unforeseeable. It's going to cost you cash. There's a reason these homes are cheaper is because there's a lot of unknown, a lot of risk. And a risk in real estate equals money. Cold, hard money.
It's the reason why, as we help our sellers too, this is why we do inspections before we list the home.
This is why we fix stuff before we list the home.
Because we want to know what's wrong with the home. So if anything.
When this podcast is being recorded, you have a listing that was active in Fairfield. Just generally, that home, which was moving, you can live in, it was habitable, meaning it could get traditional lending, but it did have some deferred maintenance. How much did it cost to get it ready to sell to the next owner?
So cosmetically, I would say we invested about $13,000.
Okay, $13,000.
Just cosmetically, flooring and paint.
Okay.
And as far as Section 1 items, which is...
what's Section 1?
Section 1 means anything that affects the structure of the home as far as fungus, dry rot, and termites that might be active in the property.
Yeah.
So anything like that.
Health and safety related.
Exactly. Health and safety related. So to fix those issues, it was going to cost around $7,000 was the original bid. Well, we have the connections and our trusted partners that do the same type of work at a great price. We're able to do it for half the price.
Yeah.
And we're able to eliminate all those Section 1 items for about $3,500.
Yeah.
And then on top of that, while we were doing the repairs, we found more issues, to our surprise, where there was leaks underneath the bathroom.
Yeah.
Active leaks that weren't caught in the inspections. These are all risks that could
And this was a home. This was a home that, in reality, you didn't really have to do anything to, but maybe get some cleaners in there to clean it up, and you could have sold it, and it would sell, right? It wouldn't sell for the value that it's really worth if these items were fixed, right? And this is where we come in when we sell properties. We're going to advise you that, if you listen to podcast 25 talking about like investments and stuff like that, this is where your home pays you back is when you sell it. So just like selling, I always tell people, just like selling a car. You don't sell your car dirty with trash in it and never washed and flat tires. You want to get new tires. You're going to get it detailed. You're going to clean it up. You're going to make it look as good as possible to get as much money out of it.
You're going to try to press whoever is trying to buy it.
We take the same approach when we advise people to sell their home, and MVP Real Estate, we can actually help finance some of these expenses, right, and get paid back at a later date. That being said, this home you're selling, Victor, you could have handed a new first-time home buyer the keys, and it would have got traditional financing.
Yeah.
And you're just trying to get it ready, and all these unexpected things are popping up. Well, so what was the final price after, like, with the new hidden shower leak?
When it was all said and done, almost $21,000.
$21,000.
Almost.
So as a first-time buyer, coming out of pocket, maybe 40, 50 grand, okay? Out of your savings, your 401k, gift from your parents, wherever you're getting it from. Moving into a home that was ready to live in, and all of a sudden there's just $20,000 in unexpected cost. It's a lot of stress, a lot of unexpected. And this is just a normal home. Now you're going to send me a home that has foundation issues and roof issues, and you don't know if it has that, what's behind the walls, what's underneath the foundation, what's the plumbing, what's the sewer like. where are you going to get this money? You can't just pull and I get this. Can I just take the equity out of it? No, there's no equity in the home. You're buying it cheap. It's cheap for a reason. There's no value until it's fixed.
Exactly.
The equity's there once you fix it.
Yeah. And and you know what? That's what a lot of sellers don't understand. And that's where we come in, is to, you know, make graphs and explain things. And this is what could happen, you know, scenario A, scenario B, scenario C, which one do you want to take? And you choose for yourself, right?
Yeah.
But we can't overpromise and then underdeliver. We actually like to do the opposite, right?
Yeah, so not for you. Land, not for you. First time home buyer, land, not for you. Foreclosure, not for you. Pre-foreclosure, not for you. Distressed, extreme fixer-upper, meaning you can't live in it, not for you. So let's end on a positive note.
Yeah.
What is for a first-time home buyer? Maybe how, you know, what I would say, if you can give a first-time home buyer advice, and look, everyone's trying to save a little bit of money.
Yeah.
What are some homes a first-time home buyer should be looking at then? If all this stuff isn't for them, what should they be looking for to maybe try to get somewhat of a deal?
I always tell the client is, what are you willing to sacrifice? Are you willing to sacrifice distance and commuting to work? Because the further you go out, the cheaper it gets. Are you willing to sacrifice a little bit of your wants? Maybe you don't get all your wants on the property. Maybe it just, you know, it fulfills your needs. Enough size, big of enough space for you and your family. Maybe it might need some cosmetic things to be, you know, updated and stuff like that you can do over time. But if you're willing to sacrifice some of these things, then you're gonna get it. You're gonna become a homeowner.
Yeah, and you'll be able to get a little bit of a deal.
Yeah.
Let's be real. It's
Yeah.
the Bay Area. It's
Yes.
still damn expensive.
Right. Right.
But you may be able to save a little bit of money to get into maybe an area that you want to get into, or to your point, looking to get what you want. You know, you might have to look outside, expand, be a little bit more
open-minded,
flexible, be willing to drive a little bit. Hey, maybe you get, I always tell people, maybe you can get all your wants here, and yeah, your work is here and you have a commute. That money you save, get yourself a nice car.
Yeah.
Enjoy the drive. Because you're going to be in your car.
Exactly.
Cool, man. Well, we hope to not discourage you. We're just keeping it real. Because our goal here at MVP Real Estate is to help you become a homeowner. And if sometimes telling you the cold, hard facts about how things work is the only way to kind of have that light bulb go off and say, okay, I understand what you're getting at. And okay, I need to pivot. And now I need to really say, okay, I need to do X, Y, and Z to put myself in a position to become a first-time homeowner. Then we are glad to be able to share that knowledge with you.
100%.
And with that, Victor, we look forward
to winning with you.